large ship from Earth moved slowly through space. It was the first time humans had reached the Lee Ray system. The ship was quiet inside, but everyone was busy. Alex Carter looked out the window at the stars. He was young, smart, and curious. He had studied alien life for many years, and now he was going to meet real aliens for the first time. Alex wore a clean uniform. He checked his reflection in the glass. He felt nervous, but also excited. Today was important. Earth had sent him and a small team to speak with the Zarelian Empire. The Zarelians were powerful and strange. No human had ever met them face to face. Now, that was going to change. The ship landed on a bright platform made of shining stone. The air outside was clean and light. Large towers stood in the distance, glowing with soft blue lights. Strange flying machines moved through the sky. Alex followed his team down the ramp. There were 5 of them. Behind them stood guards from the ship. Ahead of them waited tall beings with long limbs and silver skin. Their clothes looked like robes made from metal and light. In the center of the group stood a female. She wore a crown that floated just above her head. Her eyes were bright and glowing. Her name was Elira, and she was the princess of the Zarelian Empire. One of the Zarelians spoke in a smooth voice. A translator device turned the words into English. They welcomed the humans to their world. Alex stepped forward as planned. He was chosen to speak first. He bowed slightly and said hello. Elira looked at him for a moment. Then she stepped forward. They stood face to face. She reached out her hand. Alex reached out his. When their hands touched, something strange happened. Elira froze. Her eyes widened. Her body began to shiver. It was not from fear or cold. It looked like a deep reaction. Few Zarelians gasped. The guards moved quickly, but Elira raised her hand to stop them. Alex pulled his hand back, confused. He did not understand what had happened. He looked at her with concern. "Are you all right?" he asked. She did not answer. She looked at him with wide eyes and then turned away. Her guards quickly took her back inside the building. The meeting ended early. The human team was taken to a guest area in the city. The rooms were large and clean, but the mood was heavy. No one spoke for a while. The commander of the mission, a woman named Grace, sat down with Alex. "What happened out there?" she asked. "I don't know," Alex said. "She just started shaking when we touched." It was like something shocked her. "You didn't do anything unusual?" "No," he said. "Just a handshake." Rachel, a young doctor on the team, looked worried. "It could be some kind of genetic reaction," she said. "Maybe humans have something in their touch that affects them. Or maybe it's something else." Grace nodded. "From now on, no physical contact. We don't want to cause a problem." Later that night, Alex sat by the window of his room. He looked at the stars again. He could not forget the look in Elira's eyes. It was not fear. It was something else. It's like surprise or recognition. He had seen many alien faces in books and videos, but hers was different. There was something human in her eyes. He thought about the moment their hands met. It felt warm. Like something passed between them. It made no sense. He had studied science, not fairy tales. But something had happened. He just didn't know what it meant. Outside his room, 2 Zarelian guards stood silent. They had orders to watch him. Inside the palace, Elira lay in her room, staring at the ceiling. Her hand still felt warm where he had touched her. She whispered something in her own language. A single word. Warm one. She did not understand it, but she remembered it from old stories. Stories told to her as a child. Stories about a man from the stars who would return one day. She never believed them. Until now. Alex woke up early. The sky outside was still dark, filled with stars. He had not slept well. His mind was full of questions. He kept thinking about the moment he touched Princess Elira. The way she looked at him, the way her body shivered. It was not normal. It felt important, but no one was telling him anything. He got dressed and walked to the dining area. Rachel was already there, sipping a warm drink. She smiled when she saw him. "You look tired," she said. "Didn't sleep much," Alex answered. "Still thinking about yesterday," Rachel nodded. "Me too. That reaction, it wasn't random." Before Alex could reply, 2 Zarelian guards entered. One of them spoke in a calm voice. "Alex Carter must come with us." Alex stood up. "Why? The council has questions." Rachel looked worried. I'll inform Grace. Don't say too much until she arrives. Alex followed the guards through long silver halls. They walked in silence until they reached a small round room. It was quiet inside. A few Zarelians sat at a high table. One of them, a tall male with bright eyes, stood up. "We need to understand what happened," he said. "Your touch caused a reaction in our princess. Do you have any special abilities?" Alex shook his head. "No, I'm just a scientist. I didn't do anything strange. It was only a handshake." The Zarelians looked at each other. One of them leaned forward. "Some of our records speak of a moment like this. It is rare, but the signs are there. You may be part of something ancient." Alex frowned. "I don't understand." "We are not sure either," the Zarelian said. "But we ask that you remain here. Do not leave the guest area without a guard, till we learn more." Alex was taken back to his room. Felt like a prisoner. Rachel and Grace came to see him soon after.
Right.
"What did they say?" Grace asked. Alex told them everything. Rachel listened carefully. "There might be a link between humans and Zarelians that we don't know about," she said. "Something in your blood, maybe. A lost gene." Grace crossed her arms. "Until we know more, no contact with the princess. Stay in your room unless I say otherwise."
Alex nodded.
But his mind was still racing. That night, as he sat alone, a small device lit up on his table. It showed a short message. "Meet me at the East Garden. Come alone." Alex looked around. Who sent it? He guessed only one person could have. Elira. He waited until the hallways were quiet. Then he left his room and followed a narrow path toward the East Garden. The air was cool and strange plants glowed in the dark. A small pond reflected the lights above. Elira stood by the water waiting. She turned when she heard him. Her eyes were calm but serious. "You came," she said. "You asked me to," Alex replied. "Why?" She walked closer. "Because I need to know what you are." When we touched, I saw something. A memory that does not belong to me. A voice calling my name. It was your voice. But it came from long ago. Alex was quiet. He had no answers. Elira continued. "There is a story in my family about a visitor from the stars. He came during a time of war. He saved us. Then he vanished. They called him the Warm One. It was only a legend. But when I touched you, I felt that warmth. I saw his face. It looked like you." "But I've never been here before," Alex said. "I'm not part of any legend." "Maybe not," Elira said. "But something is inside you. Something old. I want to help you find out what it is. But others will try to stop us." Alex looked at her. "Why me? Why now?" "I don't know," she said. "But I believe this moment is not an accident." They stood there in silence, the garden lights dancing around them. For the first time, Alex felt that he was part of something much bigger than himself. Far above them, hidden eyes watched. A shadow moved through the trees. Someone had followed Alex, and they were not pleased. Alex returned to his room quietly. His mind was full of new questions. He had met with Elira in the East Garden. She had spoken about a legend, a visitor from the stars. A man called the Warm One. She believed he was connected to that story. Alex wanted to believe it was just an old tale, but something inside him said it was not just a story. He sat on the bed and opened his datapad, searched for old records about the Zarelians. Most of the files were locked or written in a strange language. But after hours of searching, he found a folder labeled Ancient Bonds. It was written in broken English, clearly translated long ago. Alex read about a time before records were kept. A human ship had once visited this part of the galaxy. The Zarelians were young then, still growing as a race. A human warrior had helped them fight a dark enemy. His touch had awakened something inside their kind. The warrior disappeared, but his actions left a mark. The Zarelians called him the Warm One. The file said that if a human with the same blood returned, it would start something new. A change in the royal bloodline. That part caught Alex's eye. Could he really be linked to that old human? Was something in his DNA the reason Elira reacted to his touch? Rachel knocked on the door. Alex quickly closed the file. "You're still awake?" she asked. "Couldn't sleep," Alex said. Rachel sat beside him. "I heard about the garden. Grace doesn't know yet, but someone does." Guard reported movement. Be careful. I had to see her, Alex said. She thinks I'm part of something ancient. She called me the Warm One. Rachel blinked. That's from the old records. I've seen the name in genetic files. It was just a theory. We never proved it. What if it's real? Alex asked. What if I'm part of that line? Rachel leaned back. Then you're in danger. That story ends with the return of the Warm One changing everything. Some Zarelians won't want that. Alex looked at his hands. She said she saw my face in a memory. Not from now, but from the past. Rachel stood up. Get some rest. I'll run a scan in the morning. If your genes match the old record, we'll have proof. But don't tell anyone yet. Alex nodded. After she left, he stared at the screen again. The image of the old warrior looked nothing like him, but the feeling was there. A connection, a warmth. Far away, inside the palace, Elira walked into a private chamber. She was alone, but the walls glowed with light. She touched a panel, and a stone door opened slowly. Behind it was a room filled with carvings and crystals. This was the Temple of Memory. She walked to the center and knelt before a large crystal. She placed her hand on it. The light grew stronger, and images filled the room. She saw the same human warrior from her dreams. He stood with her ancestor, the first queen. Their hands were joined. Then the crystal showed Alex's face. The light grew brighter. A voice filled the chamber. The blood returns. The warmth wakes once more, Elira whispered. He is the one. Suddenly, the door behind her opened. Tall Zarelian male entered. His name was Varen. He was part of the royal court and known for his dislike of humans. You should not be here, Varen said. This room belongs to the royal line, Elira said. I have every right. Varen walked closer. You saw something, didn't you? In the garden, when you touched him? Elira did not answer. Be careful, princess, Varen said. Stories are dangerous. Legends can bring fire, and humans are not to be trusted. Elira stood tall. Maybe fire is what we need. Varen narrowed his eyes. You think he is the one? Then he must be watched. For the safety of all. He left the room. Elira turned back to the crystal. Her heart beat fast. She knew the truth now. The question was what to do with it. In the shadows, eyes watched Alex. Silent steps followed him wherever he went. Someone had already decided that he was too dangerous to live. The sun rose over the towers of the Zarelian capital, casting golden light on the silver buildings. Alex stood near the window of his room, staring at the busy sky. Strange ships flew past in smooth patterns. But his mind was not on the view. He was thinking about the legend, the memory Elira saw, and the words from the crystal. The blood returns. The warmth wakes once more. Rachel came in with a small device in her hand. I ran the scan, she said. Your blood has a rare marker. It's not a normal human DNA. It matches the old record we found, the one from the Ancient Alliance. Alex took the device. He looked at the results. So it's real. I really am linked to that old warrior. Yes, Rachel said. But that's not the only problem. Someone's watching you. We found a tracker under your table. Grace wants you to be careful. Alex nodded. I think I already knew. I felt eyes on me last night. There's more, Rachel added. Lyra sent a message. She wants to meet again, not in the garden this time, somewhere far from the city. Alex felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. Where? A place called the Crystal Temple, Rachel said. It's old and deep in the mountains, she says. Answers are there. Later that day, Alex left the city in a quiet Zarelian ship. He wore simple clothes and carried only a translator and a small scanner. The ship flew low over forests and rivers, finally landing on a wide stone path leading to the mountains. Elira waited at the edge of the forest. She wore a long gray robe and held a glowing stone in her hand. When Alex walked toward her, she smiled. Not with joy, but with trust. You came, she said. I had to, Alex replied. I need to understand what this all means. They walked along a narrow trail. Trees on both sides. Strange animals watched them from the shadows, their eyes glowing. Elira led the way in silence. After an hour, they reached the Crystal Temple. It was carved into the mountain itself. The walls sparkled with light. A large door stood open. Inside it was quiet and cool. The floor was covered in old symbols. Elira placed the glowing stone in a round hole at the center. Light filled the room. The symbols began to move, shifting into new shapes. "This temple holds the truth," she said. "Only the one with the mark can unlock it fully." "Place your hand here, Alex." Stepped forward. He placed his hand on the stone altar. At first, nothing happened. Then the ground shook slightly. The air felt warmer. Light rose from the floor and wrapped around his hand. A voice spoke, soft but clear. "The bond returns. The Guardian walks again." Alex pulled his hand back. "What does this mean?" Elira looked at him. "You are the Guardian, the one meant to protect the link between our kinds. Your ancestor gave us hope, and you must decide what to do with it." "Why now?" "Why me?" Alex asked. "Because time moves in circles," Elira said. "What was broken must be healed." Suddenly, a loud sound came from outside. The ground shook again. A shadow moved at the door. "They found us," Elira said. "We have to go." They ran through a side tunnel. Behind them, footsteps followed. Lights flashed on the walls. Voices shouted in the Zarelian language. Alex and Elira moved quickly, deeper into the mountain. The tunnel led to a small chamber with a narrow path that opened to the forest again. They reached the exit and ran into the trees. A hidden flyer waited nearby. Elira called to it with her stone. The ship opened its door, and they climbed in just as two black-cloaked figures appeared behind them. The ship rose fast, moving back toward the city. Inside, Alex caught his breath. "They want me gone, don't they?" Elira looked at him. "Some fear what you represent. They fear change. But others will listen. We need proof." Alex looked down at his hand. It still felt warm from the temple. He had no clear answers yet, but he was starting to believe. In the distance, the mountains faded behind them. But the danger was now closer than ever. Back in the city, the air felt different. The streets were still clean, the lights still bright, but Alex could feel the tension. He stayed close to Elira as they walked through the quiet halls of the guest tower. Guards watched them, and some turned away when they passed. Not all of them were loyal to the princess. Rachel and Grace waited for them in the meeting room. Grace stood with her arms crossed. "What were you thinking? Leaving the city without telling us?" Alex raised his hands. "I had to go." "I found something we know," Rachel said. "The tracker was still active. We saw where you went, but something strange happened when you reached the temple. The signal vanished." Elira stepped forward. "That temple is older than our empire. It is protected. Only those with the bond can enter." Grace looked at Alex. "So, are you saying you're this guardian now?" Alex nodded. "The temple responded to me. It showed us visions. It said the bond is alive again." Rachel took out a small device, ran another scan. "Whatever happened in the temple changed your energy signature. It's stronger now. It's like your cells woke up." Elira looked at Grace. "This is more than legend. If we work together, we can rebuild the alliance, but we need help." Grace sighed. "This goes beyond my orders. I'll inform Earth Command.
Yes.
But don't expect them to believe a story about old legends and glowing stones." Later, Alex sat alone in his room. He looked out the window, watching the glowing sky. He remembered the warmth of the temple and the way the crystal light had spoken to him. He knew something had changed inside him, not just in his body, but in his purpose. A soft knock came at the door. It was Elira. "I need to show you something," she said. They walked together down a hidden stairway beneath the palace. The air was cool, and the walls were covered with carvings. They reached a chamber full of old tablets and dusty books. "These are the lost records of my people," Elira said. "Most think they are just stories, but I believe they are real." She picked up one tablet and handed it to Alex. It showed two figures standing together. One looked human. The other looked like her. Above them was a symbol, circle of fire and stars. "This was the symbol of the first bond," she said. "It was a sign of peace created between your people and mine." "Why was it forgotten?" Alex asked. "Because some feared what it meant," she replied. "A bond that strong could unite to empires or break them." Suddenly, a loud sound echoed from above. The chamber shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. "What was that?" Alex asked. "We're under attack," Elira said. They ran back up the stairs, and they reached the top. The palace was in chaos. Guards were running. Explosions shook the walls. Grace met them in the hall. One of the noble houses is turned. Warden is leading them. They're trying to take control. Alex looked at Elira. They want to stop us. Yes, she said. If they destroy the bond now, they keep their power. Rachel joined them, carrying a small bag. We have to leave now. The group ran through a side exit. A ship was waiting. As they climbed aboard, fire burst from a tower behind them. The ship lifted off quickly. Inside, Alex sat beside Elira. She was calm, but her eyes showed fear. What happens now? He asked. We find allies, she said. Not all Zarelians follow Warden. Some still believe in the old ways. We must bring them together. Grace stood behind them. Earth Command received your message, Alex. They're sending a team to learn more, but they're also sending a warning. If this turns into a war, they will pull out. Alex nodded. Then we stop the war before it begins. He looked at the fire below. The city that had welcomed him now burned. But he was not afraid. He had a purpose now. He was the Guardian. The future of 2 worlds might depend on him. The ship flew fast over the mountains. Below, the city burned. Smoke rose into the sky. Alex watched in silence. He had never seen war before. He had read about battles, studied them in books. But now it was real. People were fighting, people were dying, and he was part of it. Elira sat beside him. Her eyes were cold, focused. She had lost control of her city. Warden and his men had turned the palace into a fortress. The royal guards who stayed loyal were few. Most had been forced to surrender. Rachel worked at a small station inside the ship. She sent messages to other cities. Some answered, some did not. The Empire was divided. Grace stood near the pilot. She looked at Alex. We need to find a safe place. We also need more help. Earth Command is watching. If we can't calm this down, they will end all contact. Elira turned toward Alex. There is one more place we can go, a hidden place. Only the royal family knows about it. My mother once took me there. It holds the last part of the legend. The final proof, where is it? Alex asked. Deep in the desert, she said. There is an old fortress buried under sand. If the stories are true, it holds the original message from the Warm One. His final gift. They flew for hours. The land below turned dry and empty. No cities, no towers, only sand and rock. Finally, they saw a round shape in the sand, stone dome half buried. The ship landed nearby. The heat was strong. The team stepped out, covering their faces. Elira led them to a large door hidden under a sand-covered platform. She placed her hand on the stone. It glowed and opened slowly. Inside, the air was cool and dry. The walls were smooth. Symbols lit up as they walked. The hall led them to a round room in the center of the dome. In the middle stood a tall pillar. Elira spoke. This is the heart pillar. The stories say it only speaks to the Warm One or his blood. Alex stepped forward, placed his hand on the pillar. Light flowed up from the base. The room began to shake. The light formed a shape in the air. Face, not Alex's face, but a man who looked very close to him. A voice filled the room. If you are hearing this, then the bond still lives. I was the first. I gave my life to protect both our kinds. I left my mark in the stars and in the blood of my children. If you are my kin, then you must choose. Will you carry the bond? Will you protect peace? The light faded. The room grew still. Rachel was the first to speak. It's a message. A memory, recorded and passed through time. Your ancestor really was the one. Alex felt dizzy. He stepped back. Elira held his arm. This is the proof we needed, she said. Now we show the people. They will follow if they believe. Grace nodded. We record this, we send it to the other cities. If they know the legend is true, they may stop the fighting. They left the dome and returned to the ship. As they lifted off, a signal came through. One of Elira's loyal guards had taken back a part of the palace. Warden was forced to retreat. He won't stop, Elira said. He will try again. We must act fast, Grace said. Send the message. Rachel worked quickly. She added the recording of the voice, the image of the face, and the energy reading from the heart pillar. It was sent to every major Zarelian city and to Earth Command. Hours passed, then replies came in. Cities that had stayed quiet now spoke. Leaders said they would support the princess. Others said they needed more time. Earth Command sent a short reply. "We see the truth. We will wait." Alex sat back in his seat. He felt tired, but hopeful. They had found what they needed. Proof, history, truth. But he knew it was not over. Varen was still out there. Danger was not gone. The real fight was still ahead. He looked at Elira. She looked back, and for a moment, they both understood. The future was in their hands now. The ship returned to the sky, flying toward the city that was once the heart of peace. Smoke still floated over some buildings, but the fighting had slowed. Elira's message had reached many people. Some believed it, others still had doubt. But the voice from the heart pillar could not be ignored. Alex sat in the main room of the ship, watching the cities pass below. He was thinking about the voice of his ancestor. The words were clear. Protect peace. Carry the bond. Now it was up to him. Grace walked in with a message pad. Another city has joined us. That makes 5. What about Varen? Alex asked. He is hiding, but not far. He's gathering his own forces. He's planning something. Elira entered the room. She looked tired but strong. It will strike soon. He cannot let the bond grow. He fears it. Alex stood up. Then we need to be ready. Rachel came from the back of the ship. She had been studying the old energy from the heart pillar. Your energy is still changing, Alex. The scan shows a steady rise. Your body is adapting to something old and powerful. Is that dangerous? Grace asked. I don't think so, Rachel said. But it means he's not just a symbol. He's becoming something more. The ship landed near a quiet base outside the city. Loyal guards met them and led them to a safe room. There were maps on the wall showing places of support and places still under Viren's control. They were pointed at the main tower in the capital. That tower holds the royal beacon. If we light it, the Empire will see the truth. The people will know the bond lives. But Varen will try to stop us, Grace said. He'll expect it. Alex looked at the map. Then we go straight to it. No more running. There's no more hiding. The team prepared for the mission. Elira wore a dark battle robe. Her guards wore light armor. Alex carried a small shield device. It was not much, but it would help. They moved through the city at night. The streets were quiet, but shadows moved between buildings. They reached the base of the tower just before sunrise. The door was locked. Elira placed her hand on the stone. It opened slowly. They entered the lower hall. The inside of the tower was silent. Dust covered the floor. Lights flickered on as they walked. Suddenly, a loud sound echoed. The doors slammed shut behind them. Varen stepped out from the shadows, wearing dark armor. His eyes were cold. You brought him here, Varen said to Elira. You believe in stories. You believe in fire and old dreams. I believe in truth, Elira said, and you fear it. Varen raised a weapon. But I will not let a human rule us. He fired. The shot hit Alex's shield. Alex fell back, but stood again quickly. Elira pulled out a blade and ran toward Varen. The two clashed. Sparks flew. Alex moved to help, but another guard blocked his path. Rachel and Grace fought at the side, trying to reach the beacon room. More guards entered. The fight spread. Alex saw an opening and ran past the guard. He reached the beacon room. A tall device stood at the center. It was old, but still alive. Symbols glowed on its base. He placed his hand on it. The symbols lit up brighter. A beam of light shot into the sky. The whole city saw it. Every ship, every tower. The beacon of the bond was alive again. Elira pushed Varen back. He looked up at the light and stepped away. It's done, he said. They will come for me now. He turned and vanished into the shadows. The guards dropped their weapons. The fight was over. Later, the people gathered in the city square. Elira stood with Alex. She raised her hand. The bond has returned. Let peace begin again. The crowd cheered. Ships from other cities arrived. Leaders came to show their support. Alex stood still, watching the light from the tower. He did not feel like a hero, but he knew he had done the right thing. And deep inside, he felt the warmth again. The warmth of something old and something new. Peace was slowly returning to the city. Yeah, The sky was clear again. The people were cleaning the streets. Flags of unity were flying from tall buildings. The beacons still shined from the top of the tower, reminding everyone of the bond and the hope it brought. Alex stood on a balcony, looking over the city. Elira walked up beside him. She was quiet for a moment, then said, "You changed everything." Alex shook his head. "No, we did it together." Grace and Rachel joined them. They were tired, but happy. Rachel held a tablet in her hand. "News is spreading fast. More cities are joining us. Even old enemies are sending messages of peace." "What about Varen?" Alex asked. "He is still hiding," Grace said. "But his power is broken. Most of his men have left him." Elira turned to Alex. "There is one more place we need to go. The Temple of Stars." "Why?" he asked. "It is where the bond began," she said, "and where it must be sealed." They prepared for the trip. The temple was far away, hidden in the mountains. It was an old place, built long before the wars. Only a few had ever seen it. The journey took 2 days. They flew over rivers, forests, and valleys. When they reached the mountains, they had to land and walk. The path was steep and narrow, but Elira knew the way. At the top of the mountain, the temple stood like a stone crown. Its walls were covered in carvings. The air was cold and still. Inside, the temple was quiet. A soft light came from the ceiling. Symbols on the floor began to glow as Alex stepped inside. Elira guided him to the center of the room. A round stone stood in the middle. It was the bond stone. "Place your hand on it," she said. Alex did. The stone warmed under his hand. The room lit up. A voice filled the air. It was the same voice from the heart pillar. "The bond is alive. The guardian has come. The promise will be kept." The stone showed visions. Past, the wars, the fall of peace. Then the bond, the first connection between humans and her kind. The promise to protect and guide each other. The visions ended. The light faded. Alex stepped back. Elira looked at him. "Now the bond is complete. It is part of you. It will guide you." Rachel touched the stone. "Its energy is clean. No darkness. Its place is pure." They left the temple and returned to the ship. As they flew back, they saw groups of people gathering in towns and fields. They were holding lights, singing songs of unity. The bond had touched them. When they reached the capital, they found a new council had formed. Leaders from different cities had come to build a new path. They wanted Alex and Elira to speak to them. In the Great Hall, the leaders sat around a large table. Alex and Elira stood before them. A tall woman from the city of Myra spoke first. "You brought us back from the edge. What do you want us to do now?" Alex spoke slowly. "Build peace. Listen to each other. Share the truth. The bond is not just between me and Elira. It is between all of us." An old man stood up. "We will follow this path. We will protect the bond." There was silence for a moment. Then one by one, the leaders placed their hands over their hearts. It's a sign of trust. After the meeting, Elira took Alex to the royal garden. It was quiet and full of bright flowers. "There is still much work to do," she said. "I know," Alex said. "But we are not alone." She smiled. "No, we are not." They sat under a tree. The wind was soft. The stars began to shine. For the first time in a long while, the world felt calm. But far away, in the dark corners of space, something was watching. A shadow moved among the stars. And the bond, now bright and strong, had just become a beacon. A beacon that would call both friends and enemies. The days after the sealing of the bond were peaceful. People started to rebuild their homes and cities. Music filled the streets, and children laughed again. The skies above the capital were bright and blue, but deep in the cold space, something was moving. Alex sat in the main hall of the palace. He'd been helping the council with plans for a united future. Elira was working beside him, meeting with different leaders and calming fears. They were busy, but their hearts were hopeful. One morning, Rachel ran into the hall, holding a tablet. Her face was pale. "We picked up a signal," she said. "It came from deep space. Not one of ours." "What kind of signal?" Elira asked. It was short. A single word repeated over and over. It said, "Awaken." Everyone went quiet. Grace checked her own screen. It came from a sector long thought dead. "That place is marked forbidden." Alex stood up. "Show me." They followed Rachel to the control room. She showed them the exact point the signal came from. It was from a place called the Hollow Zone. Old records said it once held a prison for dangerous beings. Who would send a message from there? Grace asked. Elira's voice was soft. Something ancient, something that was sleeping. They contacted the new council. The leaders listened closely. After some talk, they gave Alex and Elira permission to explore the Hollow Zone. They wanted answers before fear returned to the people. Alex, Elira, Rachel, and Grace boarded a fast ship. The journey was silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing, but no one spoke it. When they reached the Hollow Zone, the stars were dim. No ships moved, no signals came. But the old prison still floated, covered in dust and ice. They flew close and entered through a broken gate. Inside, the walls were cracked. Lights flickered. Air was thin. It felt like walking into a ghost's home. Rachel checked her tablet. There is energy here, weak but still active. They moved deeper. The prison cells were empty, but strange symbols were written on the walls. Some glowed faintly. Lyra stopped at one and touched it. "This is not just a prison," she said. It was a warning. A low sound filled the room. The lights turned red. A door opened ahead. Cold air rushed out. Inside the room was a tall figure, locked in ice. Its face was not clear, but its presence made the air heavy. "Who is that?" Alex asked. Elira stepped closer. "This is the Warden, the one who guarded the darkest ones. If he is waking, something worse is coming." The ice around the figure began to crack. Rachel pulled Alex back. "We need to leave now." As they turned, the figure's eyes opened, bright and yellow. It did not speak, but they felt it watching them. They ran to the ship. The Hollow Zone began to shake. Metal groaned. Lights went out as their ship flew out. A burst of energy shot into space. "That signal just reached every system nearby," Rachel said. "Whoever was sleeping is awake now." Alex looked back. "And now they know we are here." Back on their homeworld, the skies were still blue, but now eyes looked up with fear. Peace was still young, and danger was coming. Elira stood beside Alex. The bond was just the beginning. Now the true test starts. Alex nodded. "Then we better be ready." The stars around them blinked like watching eyes, and in the dark places, old powers began to move again. The stars were quiet again, but no one felt safe. The dark ship was gone, but everyone knew it would return. Alex stood on the hill outside the capital city. The wind touched his face. The sky above was clear, but his thoughts were not. Lyra came beside him. "They will come again." Alex nodded. "Yes, and next time stronger." She looked at him. "We're not alone." News of the battle spread across the galaxy. Worlds that had once closed their gates now sent ships and messages. The bond had spoken to them. It had touched something deep inside. Rachel led the new science team. She worked day and night to build new tools. She found old writings on how the bond worked. It was more than power. It was a call, a link across time and space. Grace trained the guards. She made sure every fighter was ready. She said, "We do not win with numbers. We win with purpose." The people of the city began to change. They planted trees again. Children laughed. Music returned to the streets. The fear did not go away, but it became smaller each day. Alex met with leaders from other systems. They spoke of a new alliance. One not built on fear, but on the bond. One day a signal came. It was weak and slow, but it was not from the shadows. It was from a world long thought lost. They had seen the light from the battle. They had survived, and they wanted to join. Alex stood before the council. "We are not building an army. We are building hope." The council agreed. A new beacon was built. It was taller, brighter, and stronger. When it was lit, it sent a wave of peace across the stars. Worlds far away felt it, and they answered. Lyra stood beside the new bond stone. She placed her hand on it. A soft light rose. "This is the heart of who we are," she said. "Not weapons, not ships, but this, the bond." That night, Alex had a dream. He stood in space, alone. But then lights appeared. One by one, not just stars, people, ships, worlds. They formed a circle around him. Then they became a wall of light. He woke up with a start. He walked to the hill again. The wind was still. The sky was wide. Elira joined him. Another dream, he nodded. But this one was different. It gave me peace. She took his hand. Then it is true. The bond is growing. The days passed. More worlds came. Some small, some powerful. But all wanted to help. All felt the bond. One evening, as the sun set, Alex spoke to the people. We began with a handshake. One small moment. But it changed everything. He looked at Elira. We are not the same as we were, and we will never be alone again. The crowd stood in silence. Then they cheered. Not for war, but for peace. Ships were launched not to fight, but to explore, to connect, to share the light of the bond. Rachel found a way to make the bond stronger. She said the more we share it, the more it grows. Grace watched the new guards train. She smiled. We protect not just this world, but all worlds. Elira and Alex walked through the city. People greeted them with smiles. Children ran around laughing. Lights danced above the buildings. The old wounds were healing. The galaxy was changing. One night as they stood under the stars, Elira asked, "Do you remember the first time we met?" Alex smiled. "Yes." "You trembled when we shook hands." She laughed. "I thought it was fear, but it was something else." "What was it?" he asked. She looked at him with soft eyes. It was the bond it knew before we did. They stood in silence. The wind moved gently. The stars watched above, and far beyond, in the deep dark, the shadow waited. But now the galaxy was ready. They had the bond. They had each other. And that was enough.